Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Unbreaking Science. I'm your host, Dr. James Lyons-Weiler, coming to you live from the WWDNYK studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm very happy to have on our show tonight this very, very special person. She's easy to talk to. She's knowledgeable and experienced, and she will be enlightening us on some important things, not the least of which is an exciting, important event that's coming up. Please help me welcome Kain to Unbreaking Science. How are you, my dear?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. I'm honored.
I think you're fantastic too. So
Thank you.
let's talk about this travel that you took all around the world. What inspired it, and what did you do? I was following you on Facebook for months and months. Tell me about that.
It's kind of difficult. Well, I was taking care for 15 years, and we traveled. We went to Florida a lot. We went to Mexico. We did some traveling, but because of her medical condition, it was not as easy. Crossed over. Ended up going to 9 countries. I went to Peru, to Egypt, to England. I don't know, all over, and to Switzerland. And I just love traveling. And she taught me, and I know all the parents that are sitting at home taking care of their kids. I know how hard that is.
Yep.
And she just taught me to go see the world. She taught me to look at things differently. And I ended up single again, and I was living in a farm in Oregon on 7 acres, which was something I never would have picked to do by myself. And I started thinking about, what do I want to do in my life? Like, I've had a kid, my kid is dead, in the vaccine movement, anti-vaccine, I guess. And I just what do I really want to do? What's my bucket list? And the Camino was very strong on that list. And it was the thing that scared me the most to do in life. So I knew I had to do it. I mean, I still wanted to jump out of a plane,
right.
But the Camino was huge. And so I became really, really nervous. I started training, walking 9 miles a day, carrying my backpack, walking around the park in Fountain Valley. And I ended up flying to France, staying for a week. And I walked the Camino. I started alone. So I can't even tell you what a panic I was having the day before. And so I started and walked the first day, walk across the Pyrenees Mountains.
Wow.
And I didn't carry my backpack in the first 10 days, I think. And then I met some people. There was a lot of women. I think it's like 600,000 people a year do this walk. And so I started meeting different people and walking, and I walked 500 miles, and it was really empowering. And every day I started writing. I'm going to do a book on this because so many people got really interested in this. And I think now that I've done it, it just seems like, oh, it's not a big deal. And I walked really slow.
Yeah.
I met awesome people. But people think, oh, wow, it's such a big deal. But, I just thanked my body, and I prayed every day, and I wanted to make it important. And I prayed and went deep into the things that I'd went through as a parent of a vaccine injury.
Yeah.
And so I started writing about that journey and forgiveness, acceptance, and anger, and just all of that. And it kind of morphed, and people started following, and it was really awesome.
So what do you think was the number one lesson that you received while you were walking across Europe?
Oh gosh. I kind of want to cry. I felt so supported. I felt so supported by my community. I felt supported by my faith. And my body, every day, because you see people with broken noses, broken arms, hurt legs, and every day I was just like, thank God for my body could do this. And I really didn't know what to expect. And I just felt really supported, and I think able to have nothing to do but pray or meditate, whatever it is that people do, and just really focus on what's important, and meeting people from all over the world. We're all the same. We all want the same things.
Yeah. So I'm going through some of the pictures here that you have from Facebook. It was very inspirational. If anyone wants to be inspired, go to Karen's Facebook page and find her posts around that time, because you had some some pretty deep thoughts along the way. And I know it was a very, sorry, I'm having difficulties here, but it's a very reflective moment for you, I would imagine, having just said goodbye to Lauren and or um, à bientôt, as they would say in French. Until we see each other again. But um, I was very proud of you as a friend that you took that giant leap and did it. And in many ways, many of us that can't travel like that, obviously, especially moms and dads who are staying home taking care of vaccinated children, will be can live vicariously through that and enjoy that. So it does take a brave person to do that. There's something else about you that I think is just exceptionally brave, and I don't know how many people are aware of this or not, but you're part of a very historic and important committee, a commission actually. So I've just put up here the Department of Health and Human Services Advisory Commission on Childhood Vaccines, Kain. And you told me about this before you hit the road. Tell me more. Tell everybody about that and why you decided to say yes.
Oh boy, how can I say? So it's so hard for me because I'm just like everybody else. I was chosen to do this. I did not choose to do this. I
Mm-hmm.
used to always get mad at Lauren because she was so spiritually elevated and so always always about love. She always was about love and forgiveness. And I would just say, I'm just your mom, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm learning along the way. And so she really kind of put my life on this path of something that I would have never chosen to do. So when I was asked to be on the advisory commission, um, I always say the first thing, I'm not a scientist, I'm not that smart. Um, and and then, how could I say no? And my
Right.
niece, Lauren's cousin, Mackenzie, she said, you have to do this. You have to do this for the families, for the kids. And, this is your chance. And
So what
it's
does the commission
really,
do? What does the commission do, Karen?
we meet quarterly, and this is all open to the public. So you can go to the ACCV, or the Advisory Commission in Childhood Vaccines, and you can look at the website. You can look at the board meetings. We meet quarterly, and hopefully we meet twice in person. I've been on 3 meetings, and this third meeting on Friday was in person. And we give recommendations on the charter. And it's not like we can talk about anything. We can only talk about apply to our charter. And so this was created at the 1986 Vaccine Injury Compensation Act. And so in that act, they wanted vaccines to remain safe, and it is our responsibility to meet as a group, and we give recommendations to HHS, Secretary of State, Azar, and
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a pretty huge. There you go. And so you can listen, I think, to the last meeting on there. If you go to, I think, meetings, the
Okay.
last meeting's already up. The minutes, and next, I think June 5th or 4th or 5th, it's on Friday. Pretty sure it's on Friday, and I'll probably promote it. um, you can listen live and you can make comments. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm on this board with doctors and scientists and lawyers. There's one lawyer that's represents children, the petitioners, children of the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. And it's very interesting. I've done 3 meetings. I've been reading these books, trying to get my brain, like, it was harder. This one is just like fascinating. Reading reports. And I have to sit there in front of the NIH, NIAID, the CDC, and every pro vaccine. And we're actually short. The is short board members, and so you can actually go to that website and submit your petition to be on the board. And I think, from my experience, it's really hard to get on the board because it's very political.
Yeah.
So, and two people that have gone through vaccine court and been awarded have positions. So there's
Mm-hmm.
one, I'm in one, and there's another that's still available. So if you're a parent who's gone through the vaccine compensation program, I strongly encourage you to contact me or contact them and put your resume in, because I'm just like, it's hard. I have to say, I say things and everyone says no, which I'm used to. and
Mm-hmm.
and I just keep asking questions. Like, we were in training day, so I asked the FDA, the NIH, the CDC, and they're all presenting. They're all in, all powered up. And I asked each person. I said, "This is training," and I said, "So please tell me the links where I can find a vaccine that's been tested with a placebo." And everyone said yes. But then finally, they were kind of like, what I should have said is an inert placebo,
Yeah.
meaning a placebo that has nothing to it, just a saline placebo. But I kept saying saline placebo but it's just very interesting, being in this community. All of my friends are vaccine. I mean, most of my friends have vaccine injured children or are vaccine injured themselves. And so I'm sure you're getting in this bubble now, thank God. And, you just know so many people that are vaccine injured. And then I go
Right.
into the government and they're pro-vaccine. And even we talked to the DOJ, the one who's the top special master, who is in he heads up the 8 special masters for vaccine court.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the attitude is still that vaccine injury, if it's a table injury, meaning it's an injury, which Lauren's injury was accepted. This is so complicated, but it's on the table, then it's easier to get awarded. But I still felt walking away from it that most people that are working in the vaccine court believe that there's something else that happened with the child. And so I left there a little traumatized, because in
Sure.
vaccine court in 1998, I was treated horribly, horribly. It was a very
Oh
traumatic
no.
experience. No internet, there was no connection, there was no calling someone for advice. And being back in that place, and I'm not convinced that parents are treated as they should be, because this is supposed to be um, that is swift and easy for families who are living with vaccine injury. It's hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you feel that you're treated horribly. That's really unfortunate. So I have my position on the vaccine court has changed substantially, and I'm not going to go into details, but the people that you are interacting with, it's literally their job to deny vaccine injury. That they are defending the HHS, who is the defendant and they see it as their job to defend the defendant, who basically said, try me instead of trying the vaccine, try me instead of trying the pharmaceutical companies. I'm the HHS. Well, the HHS is part of the executive branch of the United States of America, arguably the most powerful agency in the world. Parents who are vaccine injured children and adults who are vaccine injured have to sue the most powerful agency in the world, okay, and try to win. And it's just a travesty of justice. I commend you, of course, for doing what you're doing, but the people don't know this. But one of the things that Wayne Rohde taught me was that the HHS actually administers the NVICP, which means we have a breakdown in the separation of powers. It should be the judicial branch that administers this. We have the executive branch. HHS is the defendant who administers their own judiciary. There's nothing like it. It's just incredibly wrong. There are many things wrong with it, and I have, since we've last spoken, Karen, I have stopped accepting the role of being a witness in cases, only because I cannot participate in something that I perceive as mass fraud. I've put my heart and soul. I've written 24-page witness statements citing hundreds of papers and hundreds of studies, only for a special master to say, oh, well, we decided aluminum is not a problem in past rulings. They're not supposed to cite precedent. And here they are citing precedent. And they just put their thumb and squashed this one case completely by dismissing scores of research studies. And that's an abuse of science. And I'm not going to sit through that. So there's something will come of this, of course, because the parents can appeal. because it is fraud. But my time is much better spent actually conducting studies and bringing it out into a public forum where I can educate more people. And I feel for people that have kids with vaccine injury. What's the recourse if they can't come to Dr. Lyons-Weiler for an expert statement on the vaccine injury case? Well, the recourse is to, join this commission or help Karen and back her up and support her because she's you, and change the system from within if you can. I have something of a potential legal situation going on against the NVICP that doesn't involve vaccine injury. That'll be interesting. I can't talk about it, but it'll be interesting if something comes of that. So highly commendable. I adore you for doing what you're doing, and I wish that I wish it was a different situation, but it's not.
A couple things. I love Wayne Rohde. So awesome. I call him all the time. He was on the board with me, and he's been super, super helpful. Him years. It's this. This happened to me. My daughter will be 6 on Sunday. So I've been a long time. So I remember, of course, I'm just super transparent. So when I'm in the hall and I'm talking to all these people and they quickly run from me, that, the CDC, the FDA, all these people that are, I'm trying to just get their little tiny piece in. And I said, I stopped watching the news after I went through vaccine court, because I really did in 1998. That was before any internet. That was before any connection. I was isolated and alone. The government said that Lauren was vaccine injured. That's the first thing that they said, which was huge. And I didn't even realize it was huge. I was so distracted with my kid having seizures constantly, and my husband,
Sure.
stressing out, and I was stressed out. And so it's just been a long time going through this. And after she died, and I speak at hospital and school, and I really got caught into talking to parents with all kinds of kids with disabilities, because it's a tough thing to do. Being a mother was the most important thing I've ever done in my life and will ever do.
Sure.
Didn't do it perfect. Wasn't easy. She's a huge teacher, and I don't want that to happen to people. But once she died, I got hooked into the 1322 project and Autism One, which is coming up in May. I suggest everyone to go. I think, are you speaking there this May?
No, I'm not. I'm not going there this year.
Okay. But once I met, Wayne Rohde, Louis Conte, Ed Arenga, and I started realizing families were living with vaccine injury. I didn't know. And for me, that's pretty weird, because you would think people would just talk about it. And now, I think 5,000 of my Facebook friends, probably 4,000, if not more, are families living with vaccine injury. And it's that having my foot in and having my foot out. And I think that's why the community was also so helpful for me. I mean, like you like, how do we do our best? How do we give back? How do we make a difference? And I think we all have to decide where that wants to be. I mean, a lot of the parents never leave the house. Some of the parents have money that can give back. And, so it's, how are we giving our time? And I've been 2 days in bed after this, because I'm exhausted. I'm sad. I'm traumatized. But I got to get my spirit back and take care of myself, and then decide, how do I want to give back? And I think that's been reoccurring for me.
So did I hear you say that when you're there and you're talking with them, they kind of run away from you? They like avoid you?
Well, I mean, of course, they don't. Yes. I mean, eventually, I'm just always the person that nobody at the government wants to hear from. And I keep and I have to just like, I'm shaking, and I interject, and I'm saying things, and it's hard. I'm getting more confident. That was my third meeting, first time in person. So now I know what everybody looks like.
Yeah.
3 people especially were very nice to me, but I asked the questions that they don't want to be asked, and I'm not going to stop asking. And I feel, I wish I had your brain, because then I could just go back and remember everything I've ever, but and obviously be a lot smarter, because they kind of just come back with things. And I'm really nervous, but I think that I'm going to get better at it. I promise the children I will get better at this.
That's beautiful.
And I want awareness. I mean, I just, I asked I just feel so supported, but I want to do the best job. And I've been studying, and studying was, he was doing an event at the PGA, and that's hours from me. And I really wanted to go, but I told him, I said, I have to read this because I have to, I try my best to understand these reports, and I read the report, and I feel, after Dell's report that just came out, for us as a community, this is huge.
Yeah.
But for the government, I mean, I didn't hear anybody talking about that, and I don't know what it means, but we just have to keep, we have to, as parents, keep telling, and and that thing at the World Health Organization, I think January 7th or 9th, from Del Victory's The Live Wire, talking about that we shouldn't be called anti-vaxxers anymore, and that
Mm-hmm.
5 times, we are at 5 times getting people to come inside, and so we just have to keep on. But this is a critical time. It's a critical time, and I don't think the government's ever been more, aware of how many people are questioning. And I think that's a big part of what this coronavirus thing is about, obviously. Fear, fear, fear. And when I don't listen to the news, I don't get programmed in. And it's not that I'm not totally aware. I think I'm aware of a lot, but I
Yeah.
don't get programmed in the fear, and I refuse to be part of that.
Well, that's good. I'm going to be doing a special second episode. We'll save coronavirus for another episode, but you brought it up. I just want to let people know I'm not blowing Karen off. We agreed we were not going to talk about coronavirus this time around because I have a lot of things to say about it. And I don't want to take her time on that, because tonight we're actually going to be talking about this exciting event coming up. The Humans for Humanity Coalition is hosting an event, and it's in Arizona. And let's talk about that. Humans for Humanity Coalition. So, what's happening there?
Well, I moved to Tucson December 3rd, I think. I got here at like 2:30 in the morning, and I think maybe December 4th I went down and saw the Vax bus, and I met Drew Heaton, who's running. She's hosting this event and created this event, and it's really going to be awesome. You'll be speaking. I'll be speaking. Josh Coleman will be there, and he'll be presenting. Dr. Deiser's going to be there, and yeah, there we go. There's going to be, and Dr. Wakefield, and so we're going to be talking really about. So everyone can see that. Um, Love Josh. He's gonna just make it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna be. I'm so grateful for everybody. I want to, like, years ago, after it was 2010, 2011. I ended up speaking at an event with someone, and Andy was there, and I really was just, I was just like, sure, I'll do that. And then I'm just like shaking in my boots, and I'm just going to talk. I'm not a scientist, I'm a parent, and so I can only talk about what it was like to be Lauren's mother and my experience going through vaccine court. And when I sat down, Dr. Brian Hooker got up, and I just sat there and I was like, wow, he's really smart. Like, I can't believe I'm talking with him, and he's so amazing. And I'm just so grateful in this movement for you, Dr. Lyons, and for, Dr. Hooker, Josh Coleman. It's like Polly, everybody. I mean, everybody kind of comes to this table and brings something. And, united, we are going to make a difference. And this event in Tucson is going to be fun. They have a kids camp. So the kids are going to be taken care of. If you're breastfeeding, there's a breastfeeding room. Or if you have kids, there's a baby room. And there's going to be a lot of talk about what's happening with our rights and why it's important for everyone to show up and to participate. It's only $49, which is ridiculously affordable. The goal for Drew, and there's many goals, but what about her? She's doing everything she can to educate the community about what's happening with our rights, because, again, like in our bubble, we all know,
Yeah.
but so many people that are unaware of what's happening in vaccines, what's in vaccines, and, people just don't know. It's not on the
So
news,
this is
and
coming
people
up
don't
this.
believe it.
You're right. So this is coming up this week, Tuesday the 10th and Wednesday the 11th. That's when I have it on my calendar. Is that right?
And the 12th, so Tuesday night they'll be showing a movie, and they came for us. I think first
Okay.
they came for us, and then Wednesday there'll be speakers all day, and you can go to HFC, no, HF
I have it right here. I,
Coalition. Yes.
yep. I
And
have it
so you
right
can
there.
go there. And if you can just get to the movie to connect, especially if you're this area, I've met so many people in Tucson now. I've only been here for a couple months. Um, and then there'll be speakers Wednesday, Thursday there's speakers, and then there's a gala. So it's going to be, and it's at the cutest little venue. It's very Arizona. It's really just, it's going to be fun. It's going to be enlightening. It's very comfortable. It's not, it's just going to be really lovely.
It sure
And
is. I'll be
whoever,
speaking.
if you can't,
I'll be
yes.
I'll be speaking about what would happen, how things would have been different over the last 2 years if um, censorship about vaccine injury was and vaccine risk was 100%. That's what I would, from my perspective, from my parochial viewpoint, that's what I'll be reviewing. The things that I've been able to accomplish and the things that I've been involved in that would not have gone forward if censorship, because it is a humans health and human rights summit, and freedom of speech is very important to me, very, very important to me. I was silenced as a child from the age of about 5 until about 15 by an abusive parent figure, where my voice was not welcome in any setting. So it's really important that we, fight for our rights to speak. And at the other side, so to speak, the vaccine risk denialists would love it if they could just shut us all up permanently. So, like in Australia, it's very dangerous for nurses to speak about vaccine risk. It's very dangerous for the medical community to admit any vaccine risk, and they don't have the United States Constitution, and so that's what I'll be focusing on. But yeah, the great lineup of speakers. Who helped co-organize it?
Well, Drew is the crazy woman who's doing it. She's brilliant. She's genius. She's organized. She's loving. She's just, and she's a group of Tucson gals. I don't want to name one because I won't know them all.
Right.
But we've been, and I just stepped in. You know me. I'm like, oh yes, I'm here. I'll make this, and then I'm thinking later, what am I doing again? But
Right, right,
it's
right.
an
Yeah.
honor to be. I'm just supporting as much as I can. Um, and I'll be speaking at the gala, and she's good. She knows what she wants. She's honest, and she really just wants to open people's minds to what's happening with our children. And I find it funny, when you talk to people, people just don't think it's going to affect them, or how aware of how much autism is costing. And I said that a lot. People that I've been speaking with the last phase, I said, by 2025, America is going to be bankrupt with autism costs. And then
Mhm.
it's almost like you have to really know your audience. And I'm learning that. And sometimes I don't do that so well, but I'm getting very good at knowing my audience and what's going to affect people. Because, I don't have kids, but do you have grandkids? Do you know about the adult vaccine program we talk about in our meetings? Um, and so I think people just aren't aware. And I think especially now, I'm not going to talk about what you're going to talk about next, but there's a lot of things that history is repeating itself, and we have to stand up as a community, and we have to make this important. And I have someone very dear to me who's pregnant right now, and I mean, I just want that baby to be healthy. You
Big
know,
time.
I know what it's like to have your life destroyed by vaccine injury,
Right.
and that it's horrible.
Well, people constantly ask me. They say, "Okay, well, wait a minute. Where are we gonna go? There's medical refugees in the United States that have left California, and then I knew them, and then they moved to Oregon, and then they left Oregon to go to another state. So my position on this was ever since I, wrote Cures versus Profits and found the problem. That's the book that you mentioned earlier. Found the problem with
Yeah.
vaccine injury safety science that Dow, ICANN, Bobby Kennedy, and everybody else and Vaxxed was all about. Since I found Brian Hooker's videos and the transcript of William Thompson, and then I looked at all the studies myself independently, in-depth analysis. Okay, this is not just a superficial. I did in-depth analysis of each and every study on the MMR vaccine and autism question. And I found that the studies were crap and they were manipulated, and there's some cases of outright fraud. I staked my flag on this entire planet. You know, that little Martian guy, you know, I claim this planet in the name of the Earth, and I claim this planet in the name of Mars. I staked my, don't run, don't hide, stand your ground and fight. Now, people are going to say to me, now, wait a minute, didn't you just say that you quit the NVICP? I didn't quit. I'm just not taking any payment. I'm still helping Patty Finnan. I'm still helping other cases. I'm refusing payment. I won't accept any payment because I think that the ideal outcome there for me, and this is going to sound crazy, but every lawyer working on behalf of parents of vaccine injury should walk away from the NVICP. They should just stop showing up and give the special masters nothing to do. They should boycott it completely and walk away. And this is my idea. And then the government will say, well, obviously it's not a program that's going to work. So what we're going to have to do is something else. And then that would force a discussion. And I think that discussion would be to return liability 100%. Look what happened with Monsanto and glyphosate. Look what's happening to Bayer, okay, with glyphosate. There's other companies. You know, pharmaceutical companies are sued all the time for liability for their drugs. They don't go under. They just make their products better. They take them off the shelf, and then they go for something else. But I staked my flag on this planet because this is the only one that we have. And there are elements in our society who prefer profit over health. So let me say that slowly. There are elements within our society who prefer profit over health. And I think that's a crime against humanity. I honestly do. I believe it's a crime against humanity to put profit before health. And, you know, I've evolved a lot. People that knew me 2 years ago wouldn't recognize me today. You know, people that knew me 4 years ago certainly wouldn't recognize me today. But I'm happy to say that I'm still defending human rights, parents' rights, the right to say no, the right to say fuck off to people who want to inject you with things. I mean, this is your body. A bodily autonomy is real. And whether it's in a constitution or a law or not, it's the right thing. Now, does that also mean that we can act irresponsibly with the rest of our body and you know, go around and exposing other people if we're infected, say, with chickenpox because, oh, well, I think you should have a natural infection of chickenpox, so I'm going to give that to you? No, that's a violation of bodily autonomy as well. So where's the balance? The fact is that most people do not have a net health benefit from vaccines. And that's the big lie. Okay, that's the huge, huge, huge lie that we're all living under. And those of you who are just waking up to vaccine injury or know anything about vaccine injury, I'm sorry it's happening to you. It's devastating. You're in for the fight of your life. It's going to change your life forever. I'd say to moms and dads who have kids who have vaccine injury, they need you more now than they ever will. Well, don't they, Karen? They need both parents. They need you more now than they ever will, ever have in the past. And the vaccine injured child will need you more than your other kids. That's for sure. You shouldn't neglect them, but they're your babies. And we have 100% responsibility to take care of ourselves and our children. And looking after our neighbors is an important thing too. So we struck the wrong balance. Pharma gambled. Our government gambled. Our government rolled the dice on vaccines and autism and said maybe it's there, maybe it's not. We're going to say it's not, and we're going to go forward. And the science is coming in now. There's many studies that are being done that overturn what the CDC claims that they found, and I'm happy to be part of this. I will never tire. I'm not trying to be heroic. I just don't want people to worry because I stepped out of the NVICP. I just don't want to touch their blood money. I see it as blood money. I think the NVICP ought to be. They should stop defending the HHS. And they should start locating families who have vaccine injury, and they should broker a settlement with each family year after year after year and find out what they need as a form of assistance. Not the kind of assistance where you get government cheese. I mean real assistance, right? If people want their vaccines so damn bad, then make a $5 tax on each one and then give the money to the parents of vaccine injury and the families of vaccine injury and the adults who are vaccine injured and the survivors of vaccine injury, because they're the ones that you should be calling a hero. They're the ones that put their kids in harm's way for what you perceive as your public health, what you perceive as your protection from dangerous diseases. They're your heroes, not the doctors who inject people and lie to them about whether this is safe or not the public health officials who go out there and say and lie to people on a regular basis. Peter Hotez went and he said that this coronavirus thing, the reason why we don't have a vaccine against SARS and against now somehow magically against SARS coronavirus 2 is because of the anti-vaxxers, and he's lying. He lied to this committee, specifically telling them that anti-vaxxers had anything to do with that. It wasn't. There were 3 studies, 2 in mice and 1 in ferrets, that showed that the SARS vaccine and the MERS vaccine had unacceptably high mortality rates. That's why you don't have a SARS vaccine, Peter Hotez, and you know it, and I know that you know it, because I know your science. And I know what you're trying to do down there in Texas with a part of the SARS spike protein. And I have to ask you, Peter, did you read the paper I sent you yesterday about the epitopes that match human proteins? Look at your own vaccine that you're trying to develop, okay? Number one, and see if there's any epitopes in your vaccine that match human proteins. Because if you do, you could set off a firestorm the next time SARS-2 coronavirus comes around. You could set off a firestorm the next time SARS comes around. And that may, in fact, be what's happening. People may be primed by previous infections. People may be primed by injection, okay? And so, by the way, I also just realized that Peter Hotez did not divulge to that committee, to my knowledge, that he had a conflict of interest because he has his own vaccine that he's working on against SARS and SARS-2 coronavirus. So, they're going to hold us to a standard. We're going to hold you to a standard too. So, Karen, let's put the website up one more time. Sorry about that rant. It felt good.
No, I'm so grateful.
Okay.
Super grateful for you.
So I'm going to show the speakers again, and then we're going to show the Teresa Dicer and Dr. Wakefield, and there's that good-looking guy, Dr. Jane Orient, Dr. Thomas Cowan, Joshua Coleman, Carl Kanthak. Man, he's good with numbers, that guy. Irene Pye, I love Irene, and Karen Kain, this gorgeous person, gorgeous soul, Jamie Hepworth, and Ann Lotfield, and Dan Taxation is Theft Berman. Did he actually change his name to Taxation is Theft? That would be cool if he did.
I know nothing.
And there's Ida.
And Drew,
there's Drew. She's great.
Drew, yeah,
I love her energy.
She's the one who's doing it. She's amazing. Yeah, she's committed. I meet a lot of people, and it's just always awesome when I meet people that are in it for the right reasons. Sometimes, doing this a long time, sometimes you meet people and you're like, oh my gosh, they're like really, really in it just for the right reasons. Because it gets confusing. I mean, you get 1,000 people, it's just a lot of people, a lot of different agendas, a lot of things going on. And, I'm just so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful for your commitment. And it's just like we're kind of all coming together, really. We need the parents' voice, we need the scientists' voice, we need the committed. And I think it's just a matter of really deciding what you can do and how much you can do and taking that break.
Yeah.
When I take a break, I know that someone else will do it. I'm old. All my friends that we started this, they're kind of not doing this anymore. And I always question myself, what am I still doing? But I feel called to continue to share Lauren's story. And when you made that post about our vaccine injured should be heroes, and I said that years ago, I was just like, if my daughter's if she has taken a hit for the team, then she should be held up.
There it is.
She should be held up.
Somebody made this somebody made this for a rally, and I said, if you believe in vaccination for the greater good, you should celebrate the sacrifices made by the vaccine injured and their families, not castigate them or dismiss them. If the risk is for the greater good, where are the celebrations of the heroes who bore the risk? Nowhere. And the person who made that actually, at my request, made it. I didn't know they were going to make it, but at my request, they sent it to me, and I'm very grateful. And I'm sorry I can't remember your name right now, but I'm very grateful to have that here. And it's in the studio because I like it. I like to have it as a reminder about what everything that we're doing here. Why I'm focusing on this particular part of science right now. Tomorrow, it might be something completely different. The next year, I hope it is, when we solve this vaccine problem. I wouldn't do this if I didn't think we could make a major dent in this. I wouldn't spend my time, in my energy, and in this world, there's a lot of material rewards for people who just do hard work and make a lot of money. And if this was all about making money, man, I could make a lot more money doing a lot of other things than doing this.
Doing
Okay.
anything.
I mean, yeah, you say
Yes.
we're committed. Sometimes I think we should be committed, right? But I really admire you. I think you're one of the lightest brights, the brightest light, I should say. And like I said, it's always easy to talk to you. And I appreciate you sharing your time with me on Unbreaking Science. So Karen, I'm going to try to put this up one more time with you because so people can go to hfhcoalition.org and register. That's where they go to register, right?
Go to register, and I mean, if you donate $1, if you can donate whatever, everything is helpful. This is I have a great feeling that this is just one of many events to come. Drew's committed. Her team of awesome moms in their spare time are committed, and I'm just honored to be part of this. I'm excited, and we just keep telling one person at a time. And I'm just a believer that if you change one person's mind, it just blows up in the universe.
Absolutely. Well, Karen, thank you so much. I'm going to have you back again. I'd love to hear more about your book project someday. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Unbreaking Science episode with Karen Kain, coming to you from the WWDNYK studios. For those of you who don't know, WWDNYK studios are located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and WWDNYK stands for What We Do Not Yet Know Studios, because science is not about what we know. Science is about what we do not yet know. I like to live seeking the edges of knowledge to find out what's real and what's not, to understand the world and the universe around us. And in some cases, I'd like to think that perhaps we can understand each other a little bit better if we take a scientific viewpoint. So with that, I'm going to sign off with the sound from Nokomis. Haven't done this in a while, so let's play this.
Hi everyone.
Thank you.
Your host, Dr. James Lyons-Weiler.
Thank you too.
Dr. Jack. In this episode, we're going to review the evidence that science is broken. This is not a true story.
Will be told, the people will know the price of corporate science really taking its toll. Whistleblowers blow, public health data low. They say the science is settled, but how do they know?
Science.
Ask questions, critically think, you should try it. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
You can't deny it, you sure can't buy it. Fact check, use your brain, don't be quiet. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
Using tools of the trade to back up what we say. You can't be silent when it comes to unbreaking science. Let's light the truth up, next level ultraviolet. You got a hypothesis, do a critical test. Make an observation without being biased. Use logic and reason mixed with evidence. Look for patterns and results with significance. Calculate them numbers, real accurate, or else your findings won't be legit. Don't cherry pick, but be skeptic, cause broke is science, it makes us sick. That science being funded by the very same people that run it, so they can promote a product, so they can make that money, Try not to laugh, cause this ain't nothing funny. All these science-like activities, no joke, they call them studies. Hand-picking sample groups and no true placebos. Losing public trust the more and more that we know. The truth will be told, the people will know. The price of corporate science really taking its toll. Whistleblowers blow, public health data low. They say the science is settled, but how do they know?
Science.
Ask questions, critically think, you should try it. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
You can't deny it, you sure can't buy it. Fact check, use your brain, don't be quiet. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.